So welcome back everybody. In today's video we're going to do something I've never did on the channel before. We're going to test weed eater strings, and I don't know why, because I've did all kinds of comparisons of chainsaws, chainsaw chains. We do lots of mower blade sharpening, cutting tests, different types of blades. So this really fits with the lifestyle that we have here. We've got a couple different types of weed eaters that we constantly run, as well as now we have a new investment piece of property. So we do a lot of weed eating, not only here on our 50 acres, but over at the new property. So it's probably time that I find the best string line to continue to use. So let me show you what all we got going on today. This is my new Husqvarna battery powered string trimmer, and this is the one that we're using the most by far here lately. Now, being battery powered, while this is very powerful, it's not as powerful as gas, but that's okay. We find it's adequate for our needs, and we actually prefer the battery powered over the gas for lots of reasons. But that's not what today's video is about. This string trimmer comes with your standard super cheap round line that just frays on the end and wears out quickly. While I must say this works fine for grass, it does leave a lot to be desired, and it does wear down quickly. Not a very good line. All right, so let me show you what we're going to be testing today. I have got 3 different types of line here. My goodness, at all the different types available out there. Who would have ever thought? So this one right here I bought is called Ugly Line. I don't know how well you can see. This is actually a triangle, so it's got kind of a cutting edge all the way around. Also has some ridges in it. This company claimed this was their superior line, so we'll see. But a very unique design, triangle right there. By far my most expensive line that I'll be testing today is a Stihl brand here. So I don't know if you can tell, the Stihl brand is flat. So it's almost a rectangle shape. Also has ridges on it, but that's another unique design, a flat or rectangle design. And over here, this line is by the company Hypa. And this is a completely different line. It is twisted all the way around, so you kind of feel ridges in every single direction. I'm curious to see how this is gonna work. But as y'all can see here, we have 3 completely different designs. Well, really 4, because this is just your standard smooth design. So here's the plan today. I've got some really thick grass over behind my firewood barn and some weeds and all. That's kind of where this lacks, especially with the round line. So we're gonna start with the round line over there, come back and put a few feet of each on and see if we can tell a difference. I'm really surprised I haven't done this before, because I've been running a weed eater pretty much my entire life, and finding a good line actually sounds like a really good idea. Now, full disclosure, all this stuff I bought with the exception of this spool of line right here from the company Hypa. Y'all know they've worked with me on the channel before. They sent this out, but I told them, hey, I'm only willing to do this if you're willing to let me do a comparison test. We give honest and true and accurate results here on the channel, always have. So they agreed and sent me a rollout, and I must say this spool is 5 pounds. That'll probably last me my lifetime if I wind up liking the performance of that and decide to use it there. Now y'all go check out Hypa's website. I'll put a link in the description. Anything from carburetors to chainsaws, weed eaters, generators, lawnmowers, all the adjustment tools, very affordable chainsaw chains. We've did comparisons on those before. I'm talking like as low as $5 when you catch them on sale. Carburetor kits for $18 that come with all the parts. We've used those a lot on the channel to get generators back going during hurricanes, to fix tillers. We fix chainsaws, weed eaters, all kinds of stuff on the channels where they're part. They don't carry just stuff like this, but pretty much anything for outdoor related power equipment, they have it. So go check them out down there. Stuff is unbelievably affordable, and thus far with all the stuff that I've rebuilt and fixed with their parts has been working great. All right, so this is a heavy area that I have to weed eat that is relatively tough on just about any weed eater. So on this entire end down here, we've got really thick and tall, tough Bahia grass. You see, we'll let it go for a while. As we move down into here, we start getting into tough stalk weeds. That stuff is really tough to cut. Sometimes I bring my gas weed eater out here with a metal cutting blade and just blast through this stuff. And that's what we have left here. This would be a really good test area today. This is kind of worst case scenario for a battery powered weed eater. And going to be a really good test to show us the difference between the strings. If we're just talking about doing standard grass around some edging, even the round stuff works, but when I get in thick stuff like this, I can tell, we're struggling. All right, first test. Let's go ahead and run the round string, and then we'll just keep moving through all of them that I brought out here. All right, so I'm gonna run this string on all 3 until it starts hitting and trimming like you just heard. That way we know we're running the same and proper length right here. Now this weed eater has 2 modes, standard mode, which we run all the time because it's a good battery saving mode. Then it has boost mode. a lot more powerful. But because we mainly run standard mode, although I should be running boost in this, I want to go to the battery saving mode. That'll really make this struggle on some thick stuff and should really show whenever it gets to cutting easier if one string is performing better than the other. All right, so here we are, round string in really thick grass, and then we'll move down and cut some of the thick stalk stuff. Let's see what happens. So it did quite well to be a battery powered device, but you can hear it draw it down slightly. Let's move to some thick stalky stuff. All right, that's really pulling it down. All right, so that did not do bad at all. I've actually been very impressed with this unit, but you can definitely hear a little bit of pull down. You can feel it push back slightly. I think we all know cheap round string is probably about the worst option out there. I think we could be surprised today. Let me go pull all this out. I don't really want this string in here anyways, and let's put just a few feet of the next one we want to test. All right, so being this is brand new, I've yet to change the string on it. I don't have a clue how hard it'll be. You can see we're already getting low anyways because this thing eats string up. All right, so you just run it right through that middle, and we should be able to do that without even removing this. We should be able to put it all back together. This is supposed to have a quick load head design. So we'll pop this back on, see how easy it is to load. So I am very curious about this triangle design, and since this company wants to tell me how good it is on the front, let's go ahead and jump into it. I'm only going to pull off just a few feet like this. That's all we need because we'll be pulling this right back out. Now, if you're curious about this quick load head, you just put this arrow up to the hole and it says align. Same thing on the other side. We should be able to slip the string all the way through, get it 50-50 on either side, and then you can push this head down and rotate this stuff in. Actually, it's got an arrow this way, so we'll want to rotate this direction once we push down on that spring-loaded head. That should be nice, quick, and easy. Boy, I've had old school weed eaters in the past where this was a nightmare process right here. So get it even on both sides, push down, and wind. Oh boy, look how easy that is. All right, you can see I didn't quite get 50-50, did I? So what we'll do is we'll keep slinging this out and cutting it on the razor blade until we get it exactly the same length as the round was. All right, so now I got them both cut. We got a nice good length here. Let's check this out in the thick grass. All right, so it definitely blew right through that stuff. The other test that we're not gonna be able to determine today is length of time. It would take me a few weeks running all these strings to see which one lasts the best amount of time. But even already hitting some stuff here, we're not frayed on the ends. I will say that kind of felt like that drug this down maybe even more than the round string. I guess that makes sense. It's cutting pretty aggressive, but I thought the sharp edges would actually slice through stuff cleaner. Even though I kind of heard some draw down there, probably just because we're running battery powered, it cut through that stuff great. All right, next test, thick stalky weeds. We'll skip over and just leave a comparison area over here. Let's see what happens. Definitely dragging it down more. All right, so interesting. I can definitely tell it's dragging this down more, causing more power, needing more power to run that. Kind of the exact opposite of what I was thinking. Now, we didn't cut much, but I can tell you there's zero fraying, even cutting woodied stalk material. Most likely, any of these strings are gonna last so much better than that old cheap round stuff that as soon as you touch anything, frays out on the end, and we're constantly having to bump the head and cause more to come out for us. All right, the most expensive line in the test, the Stihl. Don't forget this one right here is a rectangle. It's kind of been smushed and flattened, so it has 4 sharp corners as a result. It's almost squared off, but I'd say it's more rectangle than anything else. And I should mention all of these except maybe the factory round line, I've got all the exact same size, 0.095, which is an extremely common size for string right here. All right, so interesting note. This does not roll up very well at all. I'm struggling. I don't think I could wind a full head of this stuff up. It's so aggressive. It's grabbing against the grooves and everything else on the inside, and you can hear it making noise trying to wind it in. So as I'm winding this stuff up in there, this is really sharp stuff. It is actually digging into the backside of this. It's making a pulling noise. It's digging in over here. This is it's a very, very stiff string. That may be good for blasting through some stuff, but that's something I didn't realize. This is not winding up well in here at all, whereas this other stuff wound up just fine. All right, we're trimmed to length now. Let's do it on the thick grass test, see what happens. This is the Stihl line. Cut good. All right, I'd say that cut pretty good. I can actually tell the difference between this and the previous line that I ran that was triangle shaped. Thus far, it sounds like it's pulling down less, but I am very concerned that it's so stiff, I can't roll it up very good at all. All right, let's try some thick woody stuff here, because that's where the last line was really bogging me down. Oh no, this cuts so much easier. All right, I can definitely tell that cuts far easier than that triangled stuff. It's actually kind of amazing the difference. I didn't really think we'd be able to tell that much. So thus far, the Stihl's my favorite line, except for the fact that I don't think I can roll up more than a few feet at a time because it is so stiff. That's kind of a deal breaker. All right, and for the last line, this is gonna be the Hypa line. Don't forget, this is a twisted pear, it almost looks like. So it's kind of got cutting edges all the way around the outside edge as a result. The one thing I can already tell you this is gonna be better at is spooling up. This is nice and rounded over. Like when you get in between the grooves, you can tell there's a little bit of an edge, but on the outside, feels like it's gonna spool up a little better. Oh yeah, see how easy that's rolling up? The Stihl was horrible, y'all. All right, so let's trim this to length. This is our last and final test, the twisted pear with the Hypa string. All right, same length. Let's do the grass test. As far as the grass grows, cut just fine. Definitely can hear a little bit of draw down as well. It's the woody test that I'm curious about if this is gonna do better or worse since it doesn't have the jagged edges of the last 2 strings. All right, really thick stuff here. Let's don't hit that. Let's see what happens. All right, so I got in some really thick grass right there, but as far as the woody stuff goes, this is actually all strings are doing better than I was thinking, especially to be on a battery-powered weed eater here in eco mode. We're about to go ahead and bump this thing on up to boost and see the difference right here. Let me go ahead and knock this area out. We're gonna throw this on up to boost mode, blast through this stuff, and then we'll have some final thoughts. This was an interesting test. All right, really thick stuff here, boost mode. Well, if you don't wrap vines up in it, it works pretty good. All right, I'm hitting sticks, limbs, trees, everything, because I want to see if we can get these ends to fray. Also just hit some rocks. That's some pretty thick stuff. By the way, as y'all can tell, I went back to eco mode because it's cutting just fine in that mode. And I'm even cutting some really thick dog fennels over here. So let's take a quick look at the line. After hitting rocks, sticks, and cutting stuff, that's the only fraying I'm seeing. That's pretty good. No doubt that is far better than your standard cheap round line that comes on this stuff. All right, so final results here. I think we can all say the standard cheap free stuff that comes on your trimmers that just constantly mows itself down, splits, and goes all over the place on you. I'm done with this stuff. Round line's kind of a joke. It works fine, don't get me wrong, for grass, but if you're getting into any woody or thick stuff or bumping stuff, you need to improve the quality of your line. All right, so some honest results here, because I promised you that's the way it was gonna be. Upgrading from round line, I think we all agree, let's do it. The ugly line, cut pretty well, did pull the unit down versus round line. Is this the best stuff out there like they claim? Can't necessarily say so. What I can say is this stuff was loud. That's kind of odd, wasn't expecting that. But again, loudness doesn't matter. Cut well, wound up well, I'll give it credit for that. Time would have to tell. I have to run all this stuff for weeks and weeks and weeks, running every one of them to see length of lasting. But I can already tell you, just based on the quality of material filling it, the fact that I'm hitting rocks and some sticks, not seeing any fraying, all of these lines are better than your cheap round line. The Stihl, man, I felt like the Stihl maybe cut the best of all of them. It's got really sharp edges. I do like that. You could tell it's pulling my weed eater down a little, but the cut was really good and it pulled it down less than this particular one. For some reason, this one seemed to put the most strain on my weed eater. What I do not like about the Stihl, one, by far the most expensive, cut really good though, I'll give it that. Way too stiff. Trying to wind it up, I can get several feet in and then it starts kind of giving me a heck of an issue. I don't really want to bust my really nice wind up head here. I don't know why this stuff is so hard to pull in. And that's because I've got all three the same size, so they all should fit this trimmer head. Next is going to be the twisted string from Hypa. Again, they're the ones that sent this out today. I'm allowed to say whatever the heck I want. Spools up really nice and easy. The quietest string, again, not necessary for some of y'all, don't know why, but it's really quiet. Cuts just fine, doesn't fray very bad at all, even hitting rocks and sticks. I think this is definitely an improvement over your standard round string. Where Hypa really wins is dirt cheap string, y'all. If any of y'all are a typical homeowner and buy a spool this big, oh man, you're set for life. Probably, you really are. It's kind of almost like a one-time purchase. Now, if you're using weed eaters a lot, yeah, you'll eventually go through a spool even this size. And go on their website, you don't have to get a 5-pound spool. And I must say thus far, going to a battery-powered weed eater, I haven't regretted it at all. We've been running this for months and months now, all summer long. I have been blown away at how nice and quiet it is. No gas, no oil, always starts and lasts a really long time. We can cut our entire yard up down the road by the highway, everything on a relatively small battery and still have some left over. All right, thanks for watching. I got some work to go do. We'll catch you on the next one.